Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you ready?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis and Eric Olsen.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this edition of After Hours AM, the best in alternative talk radio. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olsen.
It's just you and me, Eric, man. Not a rollicking night like last night. That was
Down
something
to
else.
two.
Yeah, down to two, of course. Last night we had John D'Souza on, and we talked about the disappearance of the two, in 2014, of the two girls in Panama. That has been something we talked about. And then, of course, tonight we are shifting gears a little bit, and we're talking with, well, someone a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I'm really interested in hearing what she has to say because I found her extremely interesting.
Oh, yes. I'm very excited. She is much celebrated kind of on both sides of the divide because she has gone from YouTube star to the mainstream media. She is now the author of a trilogy. The third book just came out this week. And also, they are working hard. Looks very good that she will also be starring in a total legit TV series.
Cool. Very
based
cool.
on the series, The Haunting of Sunshine Girl. We are speaking with Sunshine Girl herself, Paige McKenzie.
That will be really cool. It'll be interesting to hear where she got her inspiration from to write the book. It's really well received. A lot of great reviews in the book.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
Even the late great Wes Craven even weighed in, and he liked the book. So
And R.L. Stein.
Exactly, and those are no slouches right there. I do have to clear something up though, really quick at the top of the show.
Whip it on us.
I have been catching a little bit of flack that I am not covering the current Warrens case. And I'll tell you why, Eric, I have not addressed this case. Number one, it's not my business. I mean, it might be news, but it's not our news. It's really has nothing to do with us in any way, shape, or form. And I see no glory in tarnishing Ed Warren's reputation. The man's dead. And I see no glory in doing an expose in Lorraine Warren. What do you gain from doing any of that? And I just want to address that because a few people, were a lot of listeners, and I really thank everyone for getting a hold of me, and they ask, well, why aren't you covering this?
You're talking about the lawsuit?
I am, and I did reach out, of course, to Andrea Parent, and of course, she gave me, we talked a little bit, but, the consensus was there's no reason to kick this dog. And
she made a pretty full statement on it. I read
She
hers
did.
in Facebook,
Yep,
and she said,
exactly.
I am not going to say anything negative whatsoever
exactly,
about the
and
Warrens.
exactly. I'm in the same ilk. I mean, there might be a story here, but it's not one for me to cover personally, because I knew Ed. I knew Ed pretty well. I know Lorraine. They were always nice and kind to me, and genuine people to me, and that's all I can base that upon is how they were to me. I cannot go back and try to say that they're not good people, because, like I said, they were always good to me. And they were a really good source of inspiration. A lot of learning came from them as I was learning how to be an investigator. One of the few people that if you were to shoot them a letter back in those days, a penned letter, you'll get one back. And that was rare to get something back, correspondence. And so that's why I'm not covering it. Not because I don't think there's a case here. That's not for me to decide. And that's, I guess that's why I just wanted to get a statement out there, Eric, because I was getting a little bit of putting against the wall a little bit.
Well, I can summarize my position on it very, very briefly. I don't have any special insight into the merits of the case, but I can say this. You can't be neutral when you're suing someone for $900 million.
Exactly.
So the bottom line is his case, this author's case, is bolstered if he can besmirch the Warrens. So he obviously has something very much to gain by besmirching their name.
Well, full disclosure, I was contacted by Guy Playfair. After we published an article, America's Most Haunted, some time ago. Do you remember that, when I wrote up an article and you slapped it up on the webpage? And a lot of people read it and they said, hey, actually pretty well written.
Yes.
He got a hold of me saying, it's not how it seems. You don't seem to understand. And of course, I'm just trying to play both sides here equally. I can't, praise them and not bring up my other communication. But I'll say to you what I said to him. It's not my battle. If you have a bone to pick, it's not with me. And
exactly.
So you can yell and scream all you want to. We choose in this show to cover what we want to cover. Nobody has the figurative gun to our head saying you must cover this news story. No, we do everything on our own, and we are independent news source. But if I felt that there was something truly to cover here, I would. But there really is not. I just don't believe.
Well, I would
there
say
is.
Not right now, anyway.
No,
because we don't know enough.
Well, exactly.
Anyway, and basically, the bottom line is this: an author of an as told to book. This was not someone who is the direct source. He is the author of a book talking about the exploits of other people. Mm-hmm. And he basically is seeking literally all the proceeds from all the Conjuring films.
And I just brought up
it.
Because earlier it was Guy Playfair. You do remember that with his statement?
Sure.
And I'm just citing one case, and again, I'm going to hold to that same way of thinking. It's not my fight. I mean, if news does come of it, and we feel it's appropriate to cover it, we will do so. We do not shy away from any news stories. Everyone should know that by now. But let's wait and see where the smoke actually settles.
And we may well have relevant parties on the show.
Very, very good. Like I said, we don't shy away from anything. Heck, we even looked up what people taste like, for crying out loud. So we're not afraid to go into those dark places if there's a reason to do so. But I just want to get a statement out there because, we are looked to, Eric, whether you like it or not, we are looked to as in the media.
One thing I'm happy about and pleased with, and it's not even something we really talked about. It's just something that has evolved from, I think, both of our personalities and our way of approaching things. We're not out to generate headlines, ratings by tearing people down.
Absolutely not. And again, I respect the Warrens. I do. They, like I said, they were always very generous and kind to me. I have not one bad word to say about Ed or Lorraine. And so I'll never say it because they were, like I said, were always generous to me in my early years when they could have said, get the hell out of here.
And there's another factor here. We also know and have interviewed, I have, and I know you have too, together and separately, John Zaffis a number of times, and he is Ed's nephew. Exactly.
But I just want to get that out there. Part parties out there that would like to see the Coliseum type interview or the screaming and yelling about this case, I did reach out, did my due diligence. I did talk to Andrea Perrin where she sits on that, and of course I read her statement, and I agreed. There, for me personally, there's just no glory to be picking on a 90-year-old woman. And if a story does break and it is legitimate and it can be followed up, at that point we will cover it.
Right on.
So, but anyhow, that little bit of business.
On.
Yeah, exactly. I hate to bring that up, but, you got to do that once in a while, I guess.
Sure, that's fine.
You got to say, hey, wait a second here.
Addressing a thought bubble that's floating across our horizon.
It is a thought bubble, but have you
goes.
Have you ever given any thought, Eric, what you're gonna do after you die? What kind of funeral you're gonna have?
Well, relatively recent events have kind of forced me to think about areas that I have rather studiously, to be honest, avoided. I still think of myself as about 24, I guess, internally, while I am not that anymore.
Yes,
and
yes.
I imagine I
right
should think
that.
a little bit more. Let's face it, unless something really, really extraordinary happens, I am more than halfway through my life.
I would agree. I'm middle-aged. I'm 42 years old, and I might make it to 84. Who knows? You just never know.
Well, I hope you do. And but I'm even beyond your age, and so it's fairly certain. I mean, it's not absolutely, but I'd say it's pretty certain that I am more than halfway. So these are things I should be thinking about. And as you guys, all the regular listeners here from time to time, I'm dealing with issues with both of my aging parents who are in their mid-80s and have health issues, and my wife's father, so my father-in-law, just died recently. So yes, these things are far more on my mind than they've been in the past. I guess it's something I really have kind of avoided. I think part of my interest in the paranormal is an attempt to understand what goes on.
Well, exactly. Are we candles in the wind?
But approaching it obliquely, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just sitting there and pondering my personal fate.
Oh, are we candles in the wind, or do we keep going on? That's the ultimate question. The reason why I bring that up is, get this, the funeral industry is $20 billion death industry is ripe for some change. And it's not the kind of change you're thinking. It's not zombie kind of change where they come back. But did you know the typical funeral service today is remarkably similar to the ones that we had, 50 years ago? Really hasn't changed much. A funeral home will display the embalmed body, perhaps, or maybe the open casket, or a preacher might say a few nice words that might have known you, might not have known you. But get this, $8,000 is what a funeral costs these days.
Sure.
And there's a whole lot of people now that are either non-religious, non-traditional, or just want a non-boring funeral. And here's the problem is the death industry hasn't caught up with the change in the times. It's still the same as it was in the 19th century. And so this article I happened to read was talking all about the ways that they are trying to change it to catch up with the times, but they're not able to, and they are hemorrhaging money. The death industry has lost a total of $7 billion in the last 10 years. That's huge. That's a huge amount of money. And now, of course, they're trying to scramble to figure out how to catch up with this new trend, which is actually the biggest trends right now are to not have a funeral at all.
Well, cremation is more and more popular, so that's a big part of it. If you're cremated, of course, there's nothing to show. Sure. People are still having services and memorials and gatherings, and actually, there's already been 2 for my father-in-law, and there's going to be a 3rd here because people are geographically, spread around. He had lived in Oregon for the last 15, 16 years, but he lived most of his life here in Northeast Ohio. So there's lots of friends and some family still here in Ohio, and they want to have a gathering. He taught at the University of Oregon, so they put on a very, very nice memorial. And where he lived, kind of way out in the country, about 50 miles east of Eugene, where the university is, they had a kind of a friends and neighbors gathering. So, but he had already been cremated, you see. And so that is becoming more and more common. I just people I talk to, people I run into, people, so many people my age are losing their parents or have over the last 10 years or so. And more and more I hear about people being cremated. I imagine the article that you read too, another really big trend are green funerals.
Yes, that's a big trend, is the green funeral. In fact, there is in this country a 72% drop in traditional in the ground funerals, meaning that your body goes in the ground.
Percentage.
That is a big percentage. Mainly it's because of a lot of things, the green movement, that and the expense that's involved in that. As well as cremation is such a cheap option now. The average cremation is less than $200 to have it done. But it's everything else that goes with the cremation that costs a lot. Like, for instance, an urn is $700. An urn no one will ever see that goes in the ground, they're charging $700 for.
Sure.
So it's really, people are waking up, I guess, and going, wait a second. I don't necessarily want the traditional cry over my grave crap. Maybe I want to be spread out. Maybe I want this. Maybe I want that. But that is really what's going on. That really caught my eye because I haven't been to a normal, quote-unquote, normal funeral where the body goes in the ground, the whole bit, I would say in 10 years.
Wow.
Even my own father, he was cremation. It was really, really strange because I was reading this article going, wait a minute, that would hold up because I haven't been to one where the body was there and the whole bit in a long time.
I know.
And that's the reason why I brought that up, is because times are changing. Death is changing. It's getting more embraced as we go as well.
A lot of the issues that you're bringing up, the cost, the fact that it really is not very green, our traditional approach. Just think how much land cemeteries take up. Huge amount of land.
Well, sure, and the people are getting embalmed. They're leaching chemicals into the ground.
Exactly.
I mean, see, these are all now the baby boomer population really is spearheading this green. Right.
All
green
of this
cemeteries.
was brought up. There was a book, a very famous book, that brought up all these issues decades ago, called The American Way of Death, and it's just kind of taken this long to kind of sink in. And part of it's just people cycling out. I mean, let's face it, as far as generations and how you're brought up, and as you said, the degree of religiosity and so on and so forth. And but it's taken this long. But yeah, we really are seeing a lot of changes now, and people are rethinking kind of all elements, all aspects to end of life, not just what happens after death, but really the whole end of life experience with the hospice and all of that. So we're really seeing a sea change in the way we approach end of life, and then what is done with the remains and how that person is celebrated after they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, it really was kind of an interesting thing to see how things are changing in the world of death, and it really is really an about turn from tradition, and I think in a lot of ways it's a good thing. Like you'd said, a lot of land is used for cemeteries. It's highly pollutive. I mean, just think of the stuff they're leaching into the ground after they're embalmed. It all makes sense to me, but moving on, hey, do you like a good mystery?
Oh, love mysteries.
Well,
absolutely.
Here's a good mystery for you. Okay. Some mysterious deaths seem to be doomed forever to be unsolved, littered and with baffling and sometimes bizarre clues. But get this, September 14th, 2014, around 4:30 p.m., tall, casually well-dressed young guy walks into a rural motel in Armand Park, Gary's Harbor, Washington, near Lake Quante. I can't even pronounce that one. a pretty long, weird one. When he checked in and paid for one night in cash, he signed as Lyle Stevick from Median, Ohio. At this point, there was no cause to figure that he was any different than anyone else other than paying for cash, which is highly unusual in today's plastic world. The stranger was taken to his room. It would seem that he had no luggage of any kind, and he really didn't say a whole lot. Very, very quiet, very, very polite, and only wanted to be called Lyle. He goes into his room, okay, and later on that night, he does go down to the front desk and says, hey, there's a trailer park over there, and they're having a kegger. They're getting a little loud. Can you move my room? Move me to a different room. So the front desk clerk thought, I'll move him to this room, because of noise complaint. Okay, the following day, get this, they find this guy, right, dead, this Lyle dead, in the closet, hung. He evidently hung himself or whatever. It doesn't really go into detail. They do say he's hanging from a rack, the closet rack. But get this, there was no fingerprints on this guy. There was, none, zero. They couldn't run a fingerprint scan. There was no ID of any kind, no cell phone, no nothing. It would seem this guy came out of nowhere. There was no receipts. He evidently didn't eat anything. The only thing that he used was a styrofoam cup to drink out of. Really, he didn't go out for food. He didn't do anything. This guy seems to have come out of nowhere to kill himself in this hotel.
Bizarre. So you're saying he didn't have fingerprints?
He did
himself?
not. He did not have fingerprints.
Oh, my goodness.
There was no fingerprints on his hands or his
sounds
palms.
Like maybe a government...
and his palms were
in the
smooth.
witness protection
But
program.
his palms were completely smooth. You know how we have lines?
Whorls, they're called.
And we also have palm lines, like where a palm reader will read your hand.
Sure.
He didn't have any.
Get mine right now.
He didn't have any of this on his hands. Completely smooth.
So are they assuming that he or someone had somehow filed them off, or he never had them?
There's no scarring on the hands because they have his body, because when he was supposed to check out several days later and he did not check out, the maid let herself in. And that's when she found the body. And now, of course, she called the police, and the coroner came down. And that is when they discovered the man has no trace of even existing. And his name, Lyle Stevick, was a character in a book. It does cite the book here. They are saying that Lyle Stevick would have been a character in a well-known novel that came out some time ago, and I'm trying to read that quick because I did read the entire article, and it's quite wordy, quite long. Yes, his name, they speculate, comes from Joyce Carol Oates' book, You Must Remember This. The only real person that would turn up with the name Lyle Stevick, with a C added, who was living in Oregon, was alive and well. They found him. And so, they looked for a Lyle Stevick. They did find one in the database, in the phone book or whatever. They called him up, and he lives with a wife and has kids and everything else. So it was not him. They are at a loss to figure out even who this person was.
Well, it sure sounds like he didn't want to be identified.
Exactly.
Right?
He had no wallet. He paid in cash. He left really no trace of even existing.
Wow, that is bizarre. In this day and age, you got to try really hard to go unidentified.
So now the theories are a few of them. A few of them are that maybe he was an alien hybrid. I've heard that already. That maybe he was, like you said, a government agent that was on the run. Or he was into something that he shouldn't have been into. Maybe he knew too much. No one knows who this guy was. And they're asking the public right now, and they're still asking the public, even after it's been 3 years. Who is this guy? He didn't even turn the TV on, they don't think, to watch it.
I assume they checked the town that he listed. You said an Ohio town.
It was
that name.
Idaho town. Idaho town.
Idaho.
Yeah, and they did, and that's where there was no listing for him at all. The nearest listing for that name would have been in West Virginia. They found a man of that name with that same spelling, and
Peculiar.
they contacted him, and of course he picks up the phone, going, "No, I'm very much alive. I'm talking to you right now." But that's the only one that they could find with that particular way of spelling the last name of Stevik, Stevik. Very, very strange. And in fact, they are, and in fact, upon embalming him, he did not take for whatever reason.
Whoa, that's really weird.
It is all weird. It is not adding up.
That's like the Australian mystery man who washed ashore, and they still haven't really identified him. There was a pretty famous article that was published, an investigative article actually recently, where they think they finally figured out who he might have been. Mm-hmm. But that was a really famous case for decades.
Well, we're not done yet, man.
Oh, it gets weirder.
In this closet, they happen to give him a room that is for people with disabilities. Okay. So that the rack is way lower. It's like for someone that might be in a wheelchair to be able to hang up their clothes.
Right.
This guy stood 6'4".
Okay.
He hung himself from that rack.
How did he do that?
Exactly. How did he do that?
I mean, I guess he could lift up his
I suppose, but
feet, right? I mean,
yeah.
But was it even tall enough for him to have hanged himself to his knees?
Nobody knows how he even really died, because there's no ligature marks from a hanging.
Wow.
There is really. They found him with a belt wrapped around himself, hanging from the bar in this handicapped closet, which, according to this, is a little more than 4 feet above the ground. He stands, 6'4".
Yeah.
How the heck would you, a 6'4" man, kill yourself? I wouldn't think that even sitting down he would be able to get that kind of leverage to kill himself that way.
Right.
But yet it left no ligature marks on the neck normally associated with a hanging.
Well, is it possible he was murdered?
There is no foul play whatsoever. They haven't found anything at all in the room. No fingerprints in the room other than the employees.
Well, the thing about the no fingerprints
that could be
and
gloves.
The no worl,
yeah.
WORL marks on his hand, that is just
Isn't that weird? I wanted to talk about that, get your thoughts on that.
Well, the question is, of course, were they removed? I mean, there are people who remove their fingerprints. You know, I mean, it's pretty extreme action, but there are people who remove purposely their fingerprints. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you would remove also the lines in your hand, but I guess you could somehow, sandpaper them off, I guess. I don't know. But you're saying that there was no evidence
of anyone. There's no evidence. It's like because generally, this is an article that mobsters back in the day did try this technique.
Right.
And it always left scarring. Always left
scarring. Exactly.
This is completely smooth, like he was born that way.
That is awfully odd. Well, I assume they've done a full autopsy.
They did.
I mean, is there anything unusual about his interior?
No, it's the same, I guess, according to this, that they did come on the scene, and they did attempt to preserve the body, which I'm going to assume would either be freezing him or do embalming. Which did not, oddly enough, take. The preservation practices did not prove successful.
Well, that's yet another oddity. But I mean, when they looked at his,
but he's not
inside,
rotting. He's not rotting. He's
not
rotting.
Oh, okay. Huh. Well,
it's just weird. They don't know who the guy was. They don't know how he died, and he's not rotting. He had no fingerprints, no handprints, no nothing.
Well, he really does sound like some sort of alien.
Really? Right? That's what I was saying. Maybe he's an alien from Mars or something, and they show a picture, a composite sketch of what he looked like, and he looks to be, he was described as an Arab American because he did have the olive skin, or maybe, someone from the Mediterranean. Did not, he was not dead on white like, a normal like us, because we're so white the sun bakes you and I, because, you're Norwegian, I'm Finnish. The guy did appear to either be Mediterranean or Middle Eastern, and because he had the olive complexion. But that was about it. That's the only thing that they have on him, is that his skin color. That's it.
Wow.
Nothing else. Not a stitch more.
That is the damnedest thing I've heard.
It is so weird. This was forwarded to me by a listener after we did last night's show about the girls missing in Panama.
Well, we're going to have to look into this.
They're like, if you think that's weird, have a gander at this story.
We're going to have to dive into that.
We are going to have to dive.
Find out.
Definitely. I am at a loss, because nothing even indicates this individual lived. There's nothing on him. Well,
How old about was he?
They would guess that he would be anywhere from 35 years old to 42 years old.
All right, well, that's a fairly narrow range.
Just judging by his build and skin and teeth and stuff like that. And again, no dental reports, no dental records anywhere for this guy. He didn't even have a cavity in his mouth. No fillings.
He just emerged from the
out of
ether,
nowhere.
Only to kill himself.
And that's it. That's it. Just showed up, got a room, offed himself. No one knows who he is. You'd think there'd be a note going, "Hey, my name is Paul, by the way, and things aren't so good these days, and I hate to be the guy to do this in your room, but, someone I got to do somewhere. Something." But nothing, man. We got to run to break. We come back. We're going to maul this over during break, but when we come back, we've got your America's Most Haunted headlines. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. Hey, you listen to After Hours AM, and if you're listening to us via podcast, make sure you like us, follow us, review us, tell your friends about us, tell grandma about us, and keep listening.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If pop culture is to be believed, roughly 40% of all people are actually vampires, or dating one. Well, undead or not, you can always save on a clean, comfortable room at Motel 6, even if you sleep during the day, because direct sunlight turns you into a pile of sparkly coffee grounds. Speaking of which, we have free coffee every morning. You day sleepers may want to go for the decaf. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you. Book online at motel6.com.
Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Hey, everybody, this is Joel Sturgis, and did you know that After Hours AM and America's Most Haunted have a great new website out there? You're going to want to visit America's-most-haunted.com. There you can get all the new content from all the writers for America's Most Haunted, as well as the great haunted headlines everybody loves each and every week, as well as catch After Hours AM live right there, along with podcasts, past shows and get to know your hosts as well as contact us all in one stop. You're going to love it. You're not going to want to go anywhere else. So come to America's-most-haunted.com today. You're listening to After Hours AM. Do you have a question for the guests or even the host? That's really easy. Go ahead and email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Are you feeling like picking up the phone and being part of the show? Call us at 612-326-6874, 612-326-6874. Come be part of the madness.
Rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Yes, she will, precious. She will get the hose.
Up, let the rumors spread. Don't you try to catch my blind.
And welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olsen.
That was a weird story, man. That is a
Super
weird story.
That
and
weird Lyle.
Weird Lyle, man. Crazy Lyle, but we will do our best to get to the bottom of that. See if there is any new evidence. We'll turn every stone. We will not stop until we
During the break, we were scanning the available literature. We found one article that said a maid has come forth, a maid from the motel has come forth and said she heard voices in the room the second day. So he may not have been completely and utterly alone.
He might have had an accomplice then to do this.
It is possible.
Okay. Well, I guess we will have to dig deeper and see what shakes out of that story. That's just weird. No one just shows up and dies and leaves no paper trail. Everybody's got a paper trail.
Certainly you would think so as recently as 2001. That's not that long ago.
No. And speaking of paper trail or trails, why don't you go over, if you're on your computer, go over to twitter.com, search out AM Haunted, and follow along as we go through this week's haunted headlines.
Absolutely. The America's Most Haunted Twitter feed, the place for all things paranormal, spooky, and amaze-mo. I love that word.
That's a great word.
Amaze-mo. And the reason to follow along is twofold. First of all, you can follow us and we'll follow you back. And you can retweet the stories, you can like them, you can do anything you want with them, but you can see the pictures and you can click on the links. So there is plenty of motivation for going to Twitter, even if you don't belong to Twitter.
Come on,
join
kids.
us. All right. So we've all heard of King Solomon's Mines.
You know, they actually did a movie too about that one time years ago.
That is right. You are absolutely correct. The question has been all along, since they've really tried to start looking for archaeological and historical basis for all the various biblical tales, did they ever actually exist? And there is accumulating evidence that, yes, in fact, King Solomon's Mines did exist. And you know what the latest evidence comes in the form of?
Pottery?
3,000-year-old donkey dung.
Donkey dung. I wonder who owned that mine.
King Solomon.
So wait a minute. They find old crap.
It's a plateau. There's a plateau. It's in southern Israel. And they're now thinking that's where the mines were. They found lots of copper readily available, kind of easy to get at. And that could have been the main source, or what they were going for his mines. And that could have been the source of his wealth, King Solomon's amazing wealth, 3,000 years ago.
Wow, that's a long time ago. That's cool. I like that when they do the biblical searches to see if that's a true story or if it was a hoax, I guess.
Well, if there's just no evidence for it. You can't really prove a negative, but, if you find some evidence. And really what's so fascinating to me is over the last 100 years, especially 50 years, and even more so the last 10 or 20 years, they're finding all kinds of actual archaeological and historical evidence that seems to support many, many of the main threads of the Bible, including the existence of Jesus himself.
And that for a long time was hotly debated, whether
It
he
certainly
actually
was.
existed or not. And now they've actually found evidence that, he was here, and it kind of went down the way they said it did.
It's amazing, really, to think about. And it just, it changes how you view it. Now, does that mean there's not hyperbole, there's not exaggeration, there's not synthesis of various tales into a single tale? Yes, I'm sure there is. But that the basic bare bone ribs of the Bible do have historical and archaeological foundations. That's pretty amazing.
That
if you
is
think about
very amazing. That's cool as hell, man. Cool as hell.
Well, I think it makes a lot of people who tend, or at least who want to be religious, those, of course, who are religious, but those who would also like to be, who would like to believe, it gives them a objective reason for doing so.
Exactly. So, moving on. What do we got
Moving
next?
on, really cool phenomena was photographed over the skies of the Czech Republic. Look at the red skies at night.
That is cool looking. That is very, very cool looking. Again, you could make a poster out of that and hang it on the wall.
I certainly would, and would be proud to have it there. What it really is, while it's red, what's super interesting about it is it's actually a lightning phenomenon.
Really?
It's caused by lightning, that red
very
glow.
Cool. Very, very cool. I mean, and again, if you're not on Twitter, go to Twitter, search out AM Haunted, and join along. Join the 453 other thousand of you that are following.
And rocking it hard.
That's right.
All right, another great picture here. Look at the dreaded. There is a flock of dreaded blood sheep.
Did you ever see that movie about those sheep that were killing people? Night of the
Yes.
Deadly Sheep or whatever it's called?
I saw a part of it.
They
yes.
should be stand-ins for that movie.
They absolutely should. Now, we must tell you that while you are seeing in the ballpark of 10 really, really red sheep in a field, and this is in Scotland, and it's right along, appears to be a major highway. In fact, the farmer dyes them that way.
You know, I was going to say, maybe he's doing that to catch them easier.
Well, they claim he's doing it to entertain motorists.
Oh, well, that makes sense, too. Evidently, maybe they're bored over there. They're looking at their red
I would
sheep.
think you'd get some really sore necks from twisting
You would
sharply
think so.
to the right.
And they'd be kind of hard to count. They get hard on the eyes after a while.
Man, I mean, they're really, really red. But
They're very
the
red.
article in The Guardian wants us to know it's non-toxic dye.
Well, that is good. I'm glad he is being very responsible with his animals and not putting them in harm's way. Although a good lamb chop does sound good right now.
Hey, I have nothing against lamb. I enjoy lamb. Haven't had it for a while, but
Oh, you ever have a gyro?
it's tasty. Oh, yes.
Oh
I
man,
love
a real gyro with real
it. Real-
lamb.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the that's like the nectar of the gods right there. That is some good eating.
You know the real thing, the Greek, the actual Greek,
Yeah.
and it's not just Greek, but where we're getting it from typically, our recipe is Greece.
Yeah.
But they actually blend lamb and beef.
Really, very good stuff, man. I love gyros. I mean,
They
I'm
are
hungry
very
now.
tasty. I agree.
I'm hungry now. Thank you for looking at the sheep going.
Me too.
You
All right.
make
So
a
how
great
do you
sandwich."
feel about the Pirates of the Caribbean film series?
Well, I don't mind them. I really don't. They're all right. I guess. I don't know. The first couple were really good. Then I think there's 3 of them, right? The third one kind of fell
There's
on
been
space.
4, and now there's the 5th one's coming out in May.
Yeah, it in a lot of ways, in my opinion, it's kind of world it's welcome. Now it's just clearly a money grab. You know,
I'm very anxious to see how this 5th one comes along. I like you. I love. I mean, really, our whole family. We just love that first one. The second one was kind of heading in another direction, but it was still really great.
It was not bad.
The effects were amazing, and you had all those, pirates who were, remember, they were part of the ship, so they had all the barnacles all over them.
Now the rest of the show, I'm going to talk like a pirate, you scurvy dog.
Arg. Plus, of course, you had Johnny Depp in one of his most iconic roles. By the third one didn't make any sense to me at all.
No.
Actually, I liked the 4th one. It was kind of a comeback. But it's been years and years now since the 4th, so
True.
I am anxious to see how this one goes, and I hope it's good. The visuals look really great, but they would, because they're going to spend $200 million on them.
Well, it seems like ever since Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, a lot of these other franchises might have gone on the back burner. I'm glad to see that they're back. The Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, and I really hope it's good. I hope it's a good story because, you got to have a story along with the effects and the atmosphere.
You do.
The atmosphere is going to be cool. The characters will be cool. But, there's got to be at least a reasonable story. The first one was a great story. That's part of why it was such a good movie.
I saw the newest King Kong movie, by the way. And holy CGI Batman.
Yeah.
It
looked like it from the
he
trailer.
didn't even look real. It didn't. It looked like a cartoon character in a lot of ways, slapped with real people.
And he's the huge one, right?
Yeah,
super huge King Kong, bigger
super
than ever.
huge King Kong, and ginormous King Kong. The story was a little weak. It wasn't too bad. John Goodman's in it, and he was the bright spot. Samuel L. Jackson always acts, no matter what, really well, but primarily the movie I thought was kind of flat. It didn't hold my attention very well. And it's every time they have one of these movies, it's not a continuation of a tale. It's always the reboots. It's never it never goes anywhere. Like, this is a reboot of the one that they had years ago with Jack Black, where they find King Kong and Skull. And this is a little bit different because it involves a military feel, because the military goes in and they fly to Skull Island, and this whole. You'd have to see it. I don't want to spoil it.
Aren't they kind of looking to militarize?
Well, they're trying to map it out because they just fallen Skull Island, according to the show, and they were using tactical bombs to create tremors so they can more accurately map the terrain with some type of instrument they're using. But then, of course, that gets King Kong's attention, and
everyone gets riled up.
All sorts of hijinks ensue. But it really wasn't. It really wasn't something I'd watch again. It was okay. That was, I guess, cool. I might have forgot an hour and a half of my life in the theater. But was it worth an hour and a half of my life? Probably not. To be honest with
well,
you.
that's too bad to hear. I'm still waiting for that.
It's a DVD.
That
man.
next great King Kong. There really hasn't been a great one since the original.
No, and then of course Godzilla. They rebooted that a couple years ago. That was not as good as I was hoping it was going to be. So I'm a little soured at the whole, monster movie genre right now because they haven't come up with anything really good in a long time. Come on.
I assume you've heard they have rebooted or in the process of rebooting the entire classic Universal monster series.
I did hear that. I also saw the trailer for the new It movie.
Aha.
That looks scary as hell.
That really does look scary.
That does. That one I might have to go pay the $10 and change and go to the movie theater.
That one looks
and check it out.
Visually really compelling. The Pennywise looks super, super creepy. It looks like it does the novel justice.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I need something to fall back on because The Walking Dead fell on its face for its finale. It was horrible. That's all I heard from people is, wow, did that suck?
Well, I'm glad we have begun the war. I will put it that way.
Well, it only took them forever. Rise up. Well, they rose up and nothing happened.
Not a whole lot. It took. It was very fortuitous timing of the kingdom and the tiger arriving at the last possible second.
Now, get this. I did read an article that there is a show out there called Z Nation on Sci-Fi.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
That is actually getting more viewers now than The Walking Dead.
Love it. And iZombie, which I also like.
These shows are
very
actually
much
overtaking.
Is back as of this week.
But they were talking in Entertainment Weekly that Z Nation has actually overtaken The Walking Dead is the supreme zombie show.
Wow. Well, I'm sure it's not getting the ratings, but maybe in the zeitgeist. I have been hearing a lot about that. You know, it's still very popular. It's still really, really very well watched. Its numbers aren't what it was when in its peak over the last few years. Its numbers are down. That was probably inevitable. But the key is it's no longer really the center, the core of the media zeitgeist anymore.
No, it's not. You know, it's going to happen in any market. You have the prototype, which was The Walking Dead. And then you're going to have the other shows that do come along that take a cue from the story, but then make it better in some respects because they saw where they kind of went wrong. So they had that advantage of coming after.
Well, and you also have very different zombie mythologies.
Yes.
You know? So what are the rules? You know, what can you do? What can you not do?
I find Z Nation hilarious.
I like Z Nation a lot. I love that cast. They're funny. They're also super badass.
Yep.
It's a really good combination of humor, adventure, and it's an interesting story.
Yeah, so according to Entertainment Weekly, the Walking Dead may be on its way to the funeral home.
Well, as long as it's getting the kind of ratings it still is, even though they're down, you know, they're not going to toss it away.
Well, this finale was down 43%.
Was it really?
From the last finale that they had.
Wow.
The biggest finale they ever had was when Herschel died.
Ooh.
That was their largest one. And since then, it has steadily dropped in viewership.
Well, that was a classic season.
And number one, though, was
The Governor.
The number one watched was actually, I'm looking at their whole article to give a rundown of ratings, was when Jeffrey Dean Morgan was introduced as Negan.
Sure,
and
because there was such a build-up to that.
And then, of course, it really went nowhere after that. You know.
There's a lot of mixed feelings about this last season. There were things I like about it. They had to do some world building, as they call it, and introducing all these new communities. I think that had to happen. I'm not sure they did it as well as they possibly could have. I don't mind getting into the interpersonal relationships and kind of digging into how these communities work, and because I'm interested in the story also, not just from the zombie aspect, but from a post-apocalyptic world.
Well, here's my questions.
How do humans move forward?
Here's my questions for you. Number one, who's mowing the lawns there? Because they have manicured lawns, beautifully manicured, but yet you never see anyone mowing lawns.
And you never even hear the lawnmower.
You never see them getting gas anywhere, very rarely.
Or the leaf blowers.
Where do they keep getting this power from? Everywhere. It's like there's a bunch of guys trapped in the public utilities that can't leave. That's powering.
My guess is generators.
This is all the questions that the fans have, and it's funny because they're like, "Well, wait a minute, why is Judith not in high school by now?"
It does seem like she's been around a while, hasn't she?
She has been around since season 2.
Well, they really do keep saying, gosh, you're right, I guess. Has it been that long?
It has been that long. And people are just going, wait a minute now. And why, if it's been this many years, why haven't the zombies just decayed?
Well, you are seeing them decay, but they're still plugging away.
They are. It's just they're just faults in the storyline that they're pointing out. And I know I'm nitpicking right now because you have to suspend
those
your
make sense.
beliefs, because obviously there's never going to be a zombie apocalypse.
These are questions that need to be addressed.
They are questions that need to be addressed.
Damn it.
Who is doing all this? How are they getting all this? But yes, and in fact, it goes on to have one of the foremost experts on the zombie apocalypse, if it were to outbreak. He goes through step by step how we would break down as society. Number one, the power grid would almost immediately go down.
Right, of course.
And so that would go down. We would be in utter darkness. Number two, we would see the grocery stores be raided heavily. There would be no food left within 2 months of the zombie apocalypse.
Sure,
on the shelves.
I believe that.
Number three, the average lifespan of gasoline in your car, where it is still combustible, is only about 6 to 8 months.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So because we use additives and this and that, so it's not the gas of old. There's a lot of different things this guy goes through that why they could not have a societies like they do, because they wouldn't be able to gather the infrastructure to do so.
Now, remember, though, it's only supposed to have been, these are estimates, no one's ever exactly said, about 2 to 3 years. That's all it's been.
But 3
since
years
the apocalypse
is a long time without production.
Well, sure.
Of food. Or,
no, I don't think anything. I don't think they're implying that the power grid remains. I think the only power comes from generators. So that's number one. That's a really good point about gasoline, though, because obviously, does that include if it's stored underground or anything like that?
It says in the gas pump underground.
Oh, all right.
The gasoline is only viable for up to 8 months if in optimum conditions. That is why you see frequently trucks refilling. They're nowhere near empty, but they have to keep topping up with fresh.
All right.
So
we only have 4 more minutes before the top of the hour.
I'm sorry.
We cannot neglect a final story since it's a recurring topic.
Yes, it is.
All right. They've done a study now on the nutritional value of human beings.
Oh, we're going to get more emails, man. You don't seem to understand.
And the result of that is, stupid cannibals, people aren't very nutritious.
No, I wouldn't think we would be.
We're not.
I just don't think that we would be one of the more nutritious
We're like a
items.
light lunch.
Yes, we are a light lunch at best. And prime example is why the lions had to eat so many workers in the movie Ghost in the Darkness, and that's a true story, by the way. They couldn't get enough because we're not worth anything nutritionally.
We're just not very nutritious.
Not really.
No, so they compare us to other creatures that were around, and this is talking about kind of ancient and archaic humans. And compared to a mammoth, holy cow, we're nothing, man.
No, I wouldn't expect we would be. To be honest. I mean, now we might be a little more because look at us. We're all very well marbled now.
Yay, us. All right, look at this next picture. You guys got to see the picture. I find it hysterical. It's a real picture of a diver, or actually 3 divers, in a shark cage. There is a number of sharks swarming around the shark cage. But there's one shark who's looking with what I swear to be an evil grin.
It is like, watch this.
Who's staring right at the camera, and he's going,
he's my lunch. Uh-huh.
All right. More pictures. You guys got to go to the Twitter account to see all these pictures. All right, so you know about the Cassini spacecraft? It's finally dying.
I have heard about this, yes.
It's doing a nosedive right into Saturn.
Poor little guy.
But look at all the amazing images of both Saturn and its moons that it has sent back. Look at these amazing... I just find it stunning.
Have we been able to leave our own solar system yet and go to another one?
Yeah, that's what Voyager has done.
Okay. I mean, really far out there where they can go to these Goldilocks planets and actually take a look at them?
Well, no, not yet. But the Voyager craft, which was sent out in the 70s, okay, so that's how long it's been going, it finally has broken through the outer edges of our solar system. It is now in deep space.
Very, very cool. I cannot wait to see pictures. Of these different planets that could sustain life.
Of course, that is the absolute breaking, most absolutely critical news of
I know, right?
I don't know, this millennium is the discovery of all these planets that are out there in the Goldilocks zone.
It is crazy to think that the odds are that there is life out there. There just has to be life out there. If you just go by the math, the odds.
It seems like it, yes.
There has to be. We cannot be alone. After all, why would you have a universe that's barren of life if you're the grand creator, if you want to go that route?
My guess is, and I think we talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago, that there is actually life right here in our solar system. I'm talking about little teeny microbes. I'm talking about under the soil or in these oceans that they keep finding.
Yeah, exactly. Where there's water, there's life, generally.
So I don't think there's, what we think of as, extraterrestrials, certainly not intelligent. I don't think there's anything that we would, perceive as animal life. But I think there may absolutely well be some form of microbial, microscopic life in our very own solar system.
There is.
Maybe even Mars.
You just never know. And Mars did have water at one time, so that would be a great place to look. We got to go to Fox News. We come back. We are talking to Paige McKenzie. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Fox News Radio, I'm Kathleen Maloney.
It's a serious matter. It requires a serious response.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson talking about the chemical gas attack that killed dozens of innocent people in Syria this week.
The Syrian regime, under the leadership of President Bashar al-Assad, are responsible for this attack.
The United States is taking steps to lead an international coalition to remove President Assad from power. International pressure is mounting against the Assad government, even Russia saying its support is not unconditional. And Turkey says initial tests of samples from victims indicate they were exposed to deadly sarin gas. Some major issues on the table as President Trump hosts the president of China at his Florida resort. Fox's Eben Brown is live in Palm Beach.
Kathleen, two presidents will dine at Mar-a-Lago tonight, and then tomorrow they'll talk. President Trump hopes to discuss trade issues with China's President Xi Jinping. It reflects a key campaign theme for the American president.
We have been treated unfairly and have made terrible trade deals with China for many, many years. So that's one of the things we're going to be talking about.
The president speaking aboard Air Force One on his flight down, and while the president hopes China is also willing to take a bigger role in containing the ever-increasing nuclear aggression from North Korea, whose leaders often enjoy Beijing's permissiveness. Kathleen.
Thanks, Eben. As threatened, Senate Republicans went nuclear to clear the way for a simple majority vote to confirm Judge Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. Senator Lindsey Graham blames a filibuster by Democrats for the change in precedent.
It's an unavoidable consequence of a bad decision. Yeah, it's going to hurt the Senate. It's going to make judges more ideological over time. You don't have to reach across the aisle to get a vote. You'll have more ideological judges.
A vote scheduled tomorrow. Fair and balanced. Twitter takes on the president. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has a live report.
And Kathleen, Twitter says it received a summons from Customs and Border Protection demanding records for the account alt-USCIS. It says the government wants usernames, account login, IP addresses, and contact information. In their lawsuit against the Trump administration, Twitter acknowledges that alt-USCIS popped up like a lot of other alternative government agency accounts after the election by pseudo-anonymous users, some who say they still work in the so-named government agency. The accounts are largely very critical of the current administration, but Twitter says in the summons, CBP and Homeland Security failed to prove that any civil or criminal offense has been committed here, and they say that they also failed to prove that this isn't an effort to suppress free speech. Kathleen.
Thanks, Jessica. President Trump's Justice Department is expressing serious concerns about an agreement the Obama administration reached with the city of Baltimore to overhaul its police department after the Freddie Gray case. Attorney General Jeff Sessions isn't sure the agreement can achieve both protection of the public and civil rights. There's been a crime spike in Baltimore. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee has removed himself from leading the investigation into Russia's role in the presidential election. But Chairman Devin Nunes says he's not bowing to political pressure from Democrats.
He instead is accusing outside left-leaning groups of filing ethics complaints against him for mishandling classified information. He says that is the reason why he decided to step aside.
Fox's Peter Ducey. He could be both funny and biting in the same breath, and nobody was off limits.
Jerry Seinfeld, I know for many, many years, and he skyrocketed to fame. He's a wonderful guy, and you talk to him, it's like being alone.
Comedian Don Rickles has passed away due to kidney failure. He was 90. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News Radio.
Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Eric Olsen.
Eric, we got a barn burner of a show tonight. I don't say that word enough.
The roof's on fire.
I know, I don't say that enough, do I? Or a slobber knocker, as my grandpa used to say.
I love that. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
We got a slobber knocker of a show for you.
It sounds vaguely tawdry.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds bad.
And we have a young woman with us, so we cannot be bad.
No, we're never bad. We're always good. Unless we're talking
All
about...
right.
Never mind. I won't go there. Unless you talk about last night.
May I introduce our guest?
You may. I'm sorry. I will step aside and let the best intro man in the business take over.
Oh, shucks. You flatter me. Paige McKenzie is the young star of the hit YouTube channel The Haunting of Sunshine Girl, and author of the New York Times best-selling book trilogy, The Haunting of Sunshine Girl, The Awakening of Sunshine Girl, and the just-published The Sacrifice of Sunshine Girl, with a TV series to follow. In 2010, the then 16-year-old McKenzie teamed with producer Nick Hagan and her mother, actress Mercedes Rose, to record an episodic series of simple girl and her haunted house videos that has grown into a network full of stories of ghosts, demons, zombies, creepiness, galore, and a whole lot of sunshine, full of positive youthful energy, humor, and genuine scares. I'm scared. The Haunting of Sunshine Girl has introduced Paige's unique brand of adorkableness to people across the globe. Paige's YouTube channel boasts more than 250 million total views, and I'm guessing going up daily, averages 7.5 million unique views per month, and maintains more than 500,000 monthly subscribers. Her book series has sold more than 200,000 copies thus far and has drawn raves from such genre experts as R.L. Stine and Wes Craven. She lives in Portland, Oregon. Welcome to the program, Paige McKenzie.
Hi, thank you for having me. That was an introduction.
Right?
Holy cow.
I know, right? He's the best in the business. That's what I keep telling him. Hey, Paige, great to meet you, by the way. And I'm Joel. And I don't think we had proper introduction during Fox News, but welcome to After Hours AM. And I'm looking at your books. They're really fascinating, and of course, I watched a lot of the videos, stuff like that. I guess I got to ask you right away, what got you started in all this?
Yeah, so the long and short of it is really we kind of had this plan, and the we in this is, as you said, Mercedes Rose and Nick Hagan and myself, and we kind of planned it. We wanted to put something up on YouTube, which was kind of an easy site to use because it's user-friendly and it's free and all that. Yeah. And we wanted to see if we could create something really cool and also maybe get the attention of Hollywood.
And it would seem you've done that, by the way.
Yeah, I think it worked.
Yeah, I think it might have worked just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Now, when you started writing the books, what were your inspirations, though? I mean, what did you draw from?
Yeah, so the first book, which was The Haunting of Sunshine Girl, that follows the first season or two of the YouTube quite closely, except it doesn't mention the YouTube at all, obviously, because that would be a really boring book. It'd be like, oh, and then I got out my camera and...
Yeah. You avoided the nuts and bolts of YouTube. By the way, you can watch this on YouTube. Why buy the book? Exactly. But no, the books are really, really well written. Now, are you the writer, or do you have some help writing them?
Yeah, so I have a co-author because when they approached me about doing a book, my literary agent, I was very terrified. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do this. And she was like, okay, well, let's hook you up with a co-author. And so together, it was a very collaborative process, just like the YouTube, obviously, between the three of us. And then, yeah, so the co-author, and it was amazing.
What were when you were deciding on the topic, you had this goal, you wanted to do something on YouTube, you wanted to get the attention of Hollywood, you were already a young actress, as I understand your mother's an actress as well. She appears as your mother in the series, is that correct?
Yeah, so she's the producer and another actress on the show.
So how did you decide to go the haunted route? What was the initial impetus to go Girl in the Haunted House route with the original stories? And of course it's turned out to be so successful, but what pointed you in that direction originally? I mean, have you had experiences? Has your mother had experiences? Or did it just seem like a fruitful direction to head in?
Yeah, actually the idea came about, you can do a reverse search on YouTube, and when we started back in 2010 we did a reverse search and we found out that ghosts and paranormal was the number 2 search thing on YouTube. The first being Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne gets the number 1 spot? Really?
So you didn't want to do a series on Lil Wayne, huh?
In 2010. Yeah, I don't think we'd have 3 books.
No. Something tells me you made the right decision.
You'd have a small, powerful friend, though.
You would. A very Lil Wayne.
True.
Wow. And so, see, now we are a hardcore, sometimes paranormal show, and we deal with a lot of times the nuts and bolts of the paranormal. We have a lot of investigators on, a lot of researchers on. What's your thoughts on the paranormal? Does it scare the hell out of you, or are you okay, or what do you think? You embrace it,
Yeah, I definitely believe there is spirits and ghosts and that kind of thing, and that the paranormal realm totally exists. I have not had any personal experiences. Our house was a little creepy before we moved in, but definitely no possessions and no anything really that you see on the YouTube is really not based in life.
So you're not going to be a guest investigator in one of the paranormal shows anytime soon, then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
So how did you develop that material? I mean, it's really rich material, and you have, my goodness, there's so many episodes that you've done, and you've gone off in all these other directions, these paranormal and cryptid and whatnot directions, zombie directions, besides just the ghosts and the haunting. Where do you find the material? How do you develop that material? Because it feels real. I think that's a big part of the success of the show, is that it really does feel real. And you and your mother in particular really convey that extremely well.
Yeah, we're really good actresses. No, I'm just kidding. I think Nick is a really good writer. I mean, everything we say is unscripted, so he doesn't have to write, lines or anything. But the story is definitely a collaboration between the 3 of us. But Nick is definitely the creepiest between the 3 of us. He definitely has the darkest brain. So he's the one that comes up with, gore and blood and being locked in bathrooms or people being taken. That's all him.
Wow, so he's the dark mastermind behind the scary parts of the stuff.
For the most part, I mean, I definitely have. He has definitely tinted my brain. I'm getting darker as we speak. So
that's not a bad thing,
No, it's good. It's definitely good.
What has changed for you? I mean, it's a big difference between you must be, I'm just doing math, 22, 23 now?
Yeah, that's good math.
Thanks. So that's a big change from 16 to, is it 22?
Yeah, it's.
So what's changed for you in that time? How you approach it, how you think of it? You've gone from being a teenager to a young woman. What's different?
I'm sorry, young woman. It's just funny. I still live at home. I just don't consider myself a young one. I'm a old teenager, I guess.
Sure.
So what has changed, though, if anything?
I was in high school when we started, so definitely that has changed. That I have much more time to devote to this. All three of us have. I mean, Nick quit his job. Mom is not acting as much. She's focused on this, producing and mostly producing. I mean, is in it occasionally, obviously, but not as much. And so it's our full-time job. So that's definitely changed. We're very focused, I guess you could say.
Well, hey,
prolific.
Yeah, it's very successful, and you have a lot of just huge numbers of followers, and of course, it's going to parlay itself into television, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
Can you give us the status of that?
Can you kind of give us the nuts and bolts of what's going on there?
Yes. So the nuts and bolts, as you would say, of the TV show is that basically what I can say is that there will be a TV show, and it will star me. And
Yay!
Yeah. The script and series treatment has been developed internally, and while I can't go into detail exactly about all of that, it went out to market, and we are getting our first offers back. So.
Fantastic. Do you have any idea kind of what form it will take? Are we talking about a typical series? Will you be recapitulating some of this material that you've covered first on the video and then in the book, or are you going to head off in an all new direction?
That's a really good question, actually. I never get asked if it will change at all. So the YouTube is obviously one thing, and from the books we changed it ever so slightly. As I said, it kind of went off into the first book follows the YouTube very similarly, and book 2 kind of veered away from something we never did on the YouTube. We went to Mexico, and there was training and her coming into her powers and all that, and then book 3 she comes back home, but also it's things we didn't touch on the YouTube, and so the books veered away from that. And then I think the TV show will also just be the next step. I think it will grow up a little bit. It will be a little for like the 15 to 20-year-old range, opposed to the YouTube and the books, which are quite younger.
Yeah, it really reminds me of back in the day, there was a show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Exactly. The Brontosaurus was still king.
Yes.
I am often accused of hobnobbing with those reptilians in my youth. It's not true.
You did own a T-Rex, didn't you?
The word usage of hobnobbing and tawdry.
Exactly. You may use them. I grant you the usage there. And guess where? I got to throw this in here. Guess where my family and I just were as of a week ago?
Portland.
How did you know?
No, I got it right.
Yay, you! It was really fun. It's quite a town. We were all over Oregon. It was lots of fun. Beautiful.
Very cool. Very cool stuff. And really, like I said, it reminds me of some of the older television shows that, in a small way, like Buffy. And actually, it kind of reminds me in a small way of Supernatural, too, some of the storylines.
I thought of that, too.
And so really it conveys itself very well, very timely. You're hitting the market at the right time, with the readers. So it's really a successful venture.
Thank you.
You know what we need to do, because our audience probably skews a little bit older, maybe a lot older than yours, Paige.
Yeah.
Why don't you kind of run us through the basics of the tale, and you can go into some detail. I know you don't want to give away a whole lot about book 3, but maybe, run us through the series, either, as you visualize it in your head, the YouTube or the books, and just kind of give us a sense, flesh it out a little bit more, what's going on here, and who is Sunshine Girl, and what is going on, and what is that thing that I have never heard of that you are?
A luiseach.
Yes, I love that. Where'd that come from?
What is a luiseach?
Yeah,
you are.
It is. It's my superhero-iness. I am a luiseach, which means in Celtic, it means light bringer. And so that kind of ties in with her name being Sunshine, and it's ironic and ha-ha. And it basically means that she can bring light spirits towards her and help them move on, and also has to do a little bit with dark spirits and defeating them and that kind of thing. The YouTube is basically, in a nutshell, Paranormal Activity meets Gilmore Girls. The mother-daughter is the Gilmore Girls aspect, and we have a really good relationship in real life and also on the YouTube. Excuse me, and in the books. And then the Paranormal Activity is obviously the haunting and the scary part of it. And then the books kind of, I'm sorry, I'm choking, transitioned into more Buffy the Vampire Slayer and that kind of thing.
Gotcha. So does shift here and there. Now, you've also included zombies in your works. You know, where did the zombie thing come from? Was it a direct because the zombie thing is so hot right now, or was it just something that was a normal genesis into the zombie lore as you went along?
Yeah, so the zombies came about when the books kind of started to happen, and I was focused on writing those and such. We decided to kind of make our YouTube channel, The Haunting of Sunshine Girl, into a network, which means we have other content that's up on the channel, and that means it's not just me doing videos, it's also funny videos and scary videos and zombie videos and Bigfoot videos and funny videos and not funny videos and everything in between. So it's not just me anymore because I don't have time to do a million videos a week, which is what YouTube requires now, is a video a day practically. It's insane. Yeah. Their algorithm keeps changing, but we're handling it.
Yes, and I totally get you, because we're on YouTube there, Eric, you and I
keep forgetting that.
Our radio shows are on YouTube, along with several other radio shows on our own network. So, nice. Exactly, because we didn't have time to do a million radio shows a week. So that's where that comes in nice as well, is you incorporate other talent in to give them some spotlight. And so it works out really well.
Yeah. Like-minded talent that you are recommending. Yeah, I like the idea of a network. I assume that is your plan. It's like-minded and talent that you enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it's people that we kind of, for lack of a better word, believe in, that we think, deserves a little recognition and a little, view time.
Are you going
a little sunshine from the girl?
Are you going to branch out, represent other artists, other people doing this kind of thing? Maybe help them get where you are, and then of course, like start a network of different TV shows eventually. I mean, where it can spin off and become bigger. Like it can get any bigger, but as you progress.
The way your brain thinks. Yeah, that's perfect. I like it.
You want that to happen?
I
have a question. Since you have not had any particular, or at least it sounds like that you're aware of, actual real life paranormal experiences, how do you get yourself into that frame of mind as an actress? What experiences do you bring forth? Because, again, I think you're very convincing. It seems very real. I think that's a really big part of the appeal. It doesn't look like it's a big, major produced. There's not a bunch of special effects. It looks real. It looks like it's going on. I think people really get sucked into it. So how do you make it feel so real as an actress, which is kind of an oxymoron if you think about it, but you are successful.
Yeah, thank you. We spend my other producing partner, Nick, makes me watch scary movies alone in the dark in a small confined space.
I do that for fun.
Yeah, see, he thinks it's fun too, and it's so not. So I actually ended up filming some of them. I've watched many now. I watch them in my closet, and then turn off all the lights, and it gets very terrifying. But yeah, so.
Or under your bed.
Under the covers. Yes, I used to watch, when I was a kid, I used to do the same thing. Back in the days of, I know I'm aging myself here horribly, VHS, I had a little TV and a VHS player. Go in my closet and watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, stuff like that. All the stuff I wasn't supposed to be watching. And I'd scare the hell out of myself. And looking back on, I don't know what I was thinking, but it was a great time. I look back on that fondly now.
I totally have a VHS player. It's not that old.
I know. I love VHS. A lot of the movies you can't get on DVD now. The really, really old school stuff.
Exactly.
So when you're watching these movies, are you doing so essentially as research? I mean, is that his point in kind of forcing you to do that? Or to just kind of get you in that frame of mind?
Yeah, it's research, and also like, so he can be like, oh, what about if we did something kind of like that thing in that movie that one time? And I was like, yeah, and then we can be like, let's tweak it and make it either funnier or not as hokey or more hokey or more blood.
Some kind of a tweak. I like that.
I got one for you. Paige McKenzie redoes Friday the 13th.
Exactly.
Or you could be Jason. You see what I'm saying?
Sunshine stabbing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stabbing
Sunshine just got dark.
All right, so what are your favorites and what are your least favorites of these horror films that are foisted upon you by your evil handlers?
Exactly. I really love The Others.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Yeah, it's super clever.
It is. It's dimensional time shifts.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes. And then the one that, for some reason, I don't know why, really stuck with me and terrified me, which is, it's so not that even that scary. I think I was just too young to be watching it. It was not one he recommended. It was like Halloween, and my friends were like, let's watch it. It'll be great. And I was like, no. And we did. Oh my gosh. The Haunting in Connecticut. I couldn't remember what it was called. All I can remember is that there's dead bodies on the wall, and that terrified me.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the real story?
I have.
That's almost freakier than the movie, because John Zappis happens to be the actual investigator of that. Actually happens to be a friend of Eric and I, and the tale is dark, if not darker than the movie.
And the movie, yeah. And then the ones I don't think are very good. I hated. Oh man. Drag Me to Hell. All I can remember again was the stupid goat that talks.
Well,
you don't like the talking goats.
No, it's so weird. So I didn't enjoy that.
There's a talking goat in The Witch as well. Have you seen that?
I have heard. I refuse to see it because I heard the goat talk.
Let me tell you this. The Witch, in my opinion, Eric, I know you're not going to agree with me, boringest film I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm just saying. It was so boring, even the goat tried to get away. That's how boring it was, okay?
Nice.
It was atmospheric horror. I get it. I totally get it.
It's a slow build.
It's an art house type horror film. I get it, and I'm not. Maybe it's too highbrow for me because
me too.
But really, quite honestly, I found it very drug out and boring. A lot of other people loved it. Don't begrudge them at all. It was a really well acted film, but not my cup of horror tea.
Slow build.
It was. I like my bam, 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 like a Rob Zombie flick, man. I want to see it. Exactly. Right in my face. I like that kind of stuff. Like
immediate evisceration.
Exactly. That is. I'm a child of the 80s, man. So I grew up with the slasher film. So that was instant gratification. You know what I mean? And then Scream films. That was instant too, pretty much. So really, quite honestly, for them to come out with an art house type horror film was really a departure from the horror genre in a lot of ways. It did work out, though. It is one of the more popular horror films out there.
Very popular, yes. Very highly rated, very well received. I totally get it. There's no question. It is atmospheric, and it's a slow build. But if you are drawn into it, which I was, certainly, oh my goodness, and my wife even more so, she was horrified by it, to be honest. She had nightmares. Nightmares about it. By the time the end does come along, it really can mess with your mind if you are sucked into the story. If you're not, then, who cares? But,
who gives a damn? Yeah, exactly.
Well,
but
if you are, it's a pretty big deal.
It is. We got to run a break. We come back. We're gonna talk with more Paige McKenzie. We come back about Sunshine Girl, influences in horror, the paranormal, all sorts of good stuff. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back right after this. Hey, you're listening to After Hours AM, and if you're listening to us via podcast, make sure you like us, follow us, review us, tell your friends about us, tell grandma about us, and keep listening.
It's your ideas, work, and creativity that make it your yard. At ACE, we're here to help with hoses and sprinklers to nurture growth, gardening tools for the shape of good things to come, even the right fertilizer and bug killers to make the grass a little greener. You'll find it all now at ACE, your place, with everything you need for your yard, plus helpful advice, almost like we're right there. ACE,
the helpful place.
Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com.
Are you hungry? Hungry as a gremlin? Here's gremlin cereal.
Gremlins, gremlins, bite after bite. What a tasty way to satisfy a gremlin appetite.
Gremlins is a deliciously sweet, crunchy cereal that satisfies the hungry little gremlin that's in all of us.
Gremlins, gremlins, bite after bite. What a tasty way to satisfy a gremlin appetite.
Gremlin cereal is part of this complete breakfast.
Gremlin, yum yum.
Hey everybody, this is Joel Sturgis, and did you know that After Hours AM and America's Most Haunted have a great new website out there? You're going to want to visit America's-Most-Haunted.com. There you can get all the new content from all the writers for America's Most Haunted, as well as the great haunted headlines everybody loves each and every week, as well as catch After Hours AM live right there, along with podcasts, past shows, and get to know your hosts, as well as contact us all in one stop. You're going to love it. You're not going to want to go anywhere else. So come to America's-Most-Haunted.com today. You're listening to After Hours AM. Do you have a question for the guests or even the host? That's really easy. Go ahead and email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Are you feeling like picking up the phone and being part of the show? Call us at 612-326-6874, 612-326-6874. Come be part of the madness. Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olsen.
And we are talking about Paige McKenzie tonight. And she is, well, quite a talent, and she's written a lot of books. And, you know, I've never written a book yet, so I'm going to say you've written a lot of books. Of course, the newest one is The Sacrifice of the Sunshine Girl. And, of course, a wildly successful on YouTube, very interesting to watch. Storylines are really captivate you. people like R.L. Stein and the late, great Wes Craven spoke very, very highly and still do. R.L. does, as of course Wes did, of your works very, very highly. And to get those kind of names to say that is not easy. You got to have something. And so, you've tapped into something very cool and very rare these days to stand. It's very hard to stand out from the crowd a lot of times. And you've done that.
Thank you.
So, speaking of the sacrifice of Sunshine Girl, which just literally came out 2 days ago, why don't you tell us give us a little bit of detail about that plot for those who have not yet rushed out to buy it? We want to send them to buy it. Go right now, buy it.
Yeah, buy it right now. So, The Sacrifice of Sunshine Girl is the third in the series, so obviously we're already in the mythology. We've kind of figured it out that she is a luiseach, like we talked about earlier, that she has these paranormal powers. But this one really focuses on she's back home, and so we get the same lovable characters that everyone has grown to know, and that's Mom and Nolan and Creepy Lady, or Victoria, if you want to call her that. And then there's also some new characters, and it's very Buffy. It's very like her in her school dealing with ghosts and prom plans and homework, and her real parents come into the picture because she's adopted, and they're big deal luiseach guardians, and so it's
sounds like a lot of hard times for this young lady.
Yeah.
Going through the normal teenage things, young adult things, plus having to deal with being a luiseach, and then, of course, dealing with all the paranormal hijinks going on around her. Wow, that would be quite the lifestyle, huh, Eric? That'd be tough.
Wow. I don't know how you'd sleep at night.
I wouldn't sleep at night.
Doesn't.
I'd love to hear. We're always really, really interested in the creative process. Can you give us just maybe a little example of how? I mean, we know you're collaborating. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, of course. Can you give us a little bit of maybe just pick one little portion of the book and tell us, kind of how that came together? Kind of who did what or following what path? And again, we know it's based on, generally anyway, on the YouTube series. So. You can kind of go back and reference that as well. Do you take kind of actual kind of sections from the YouTube and then plug that in? Or how does that work? I don't want to put words in your mouth. How have you made the transition from the series of many, many, many very short or relatively short videos then into book form, which is really a very different medium?
Yeah, it is very different. It was definitely, I wouldn't say a struggle, but it was very different. It was hard to, have to sit down and write it all out because, like I said, it's unscripted. And so we don't have, scripts sitting around, or we don't spend time writing it all down. So that was definitely a big difference. With book 3 specifically, like you said, it was collaborative. Like I said, it was collaborative. So, I mean, it's very loosely based on also my real life. Obviously, just with some ghosts and adoptiveness added, because I'm not adopted in real life. But yeah, so the high school scenes are loosely based on things from my high school years. Except I made it, way cooler than my high school prom, which wasn't as cool. I also made Sunshine much more active in her school things. She was part of the prom committee, and I was so not. So yeah.
She's kind of your alter ego in a lot of ways.
Yeah, she's definitely more positive and sunnier, if you will. I'm much more of a pessimist, and yeah.
Well, why did you decide to sculpt her in that way? I mean, is she something you would like to be, or is it just that character has taken on a life of its own and you're just kind of following along as the character leads you?
When we started, it was very, very closely related to me, and she just happened to be sunnier. just because. And as the channel and also the brand of Sunshine Girl grew, it was to kind of show a more healthy role model, kind of I am a dork and I do videos with no makeup on and very wholesome. We don't swear on the show. It's very strategic, but also very real life.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. I'm kind of processing that. I think that's an interesting approach.
Yeah.
Well, it must be hard. I mean, doing the videos, a lot of writing, a lot of thought goes into it, and it can't be as easy as it looks in quotations because we get here all the time how easy radio is. So I'm sure you've heard from other people that looks so easy. I could do that.
Yeah, no, it is easy. It's like a breeze, like no big deal. Everyone should have a YouTube channel and spend all their time doing it.
Yes.
I think
exactly.
that was sarcasm.
Yeah. Everybody should have one of those channels. Everyone wants to see your cats running around. No.
Yeah.
Not everybody should have a YouTube channel. I totally get where you're coming from. It's a labor, a big labor, and of course you hope to have a payoff in the end, and which you do. I mean, it's again very, very popular, especially amongst the younger adults, and that's a really good target audience.
It is. They get addicted very easily. Those weird little kids. I don't know.
They do. They do. It's like the stranger in the park with candy, man. They can't help but want to go with it.
It's true. I'm that guy with candy. It's terrifying.
You did use the phrase role model. Do you feel a responsibility to these cherubs running around looking up to you?
These cherubs.
I can't believe we just called your watchers cherubs.
Yes, I would not have called them cherubs, but
street urchins.
Street urchins. No, we call them sunshiners. But
may I have a little more from Oliver Twist? Can I have more?
Yes, yeah, Oliver Twist. Yeah, I don't even remember what the question was. I'm so distracted by cherubs.
The sun will come out tomorrow. Oh, sorry.
Oh, role model.
Yeah.
Yeah, do I feel a responsibility?
Right.
Yeah, it's, again, something we just didn't expect going in. I wouldn't say we were naive by any means, but I don't think we really understood what comes with the YouTube channel. Everything from death threats to marriage proposals to offers of goats in opposite of my hand. They'll in marriage. They want my hand in marriage, and they'll give my family goats.
Wow. Well, goats. Well, you cannot say no to good goat milk.
No.
Yeah, it was 12 goats. So if
12.
anyone ever tries to marry me for less than that, I know what a good deal.
There's a better deal out there. I can get 12. What are you talking? Get out of here, your 10 measly goats. I can get 12. Who do you think you are?
Were the goats dyed red?
No,
they
were not. As far as, as much to my knowledge, it's like we communicated with him. It wasn't real, so.
I could just imagine. And see, now we get strange communications.
I get offered goats all the time.
Well, of course. If it weren't for that, I would have no milk around the house.
By cherubs, street
exactly.
urchins.
Oliver Twist stops by once in a while. But really, it comes with the territory, though. When you're a public person, you're going to get that weird stuff coming your way. And that's no different if you're doing what you're doing, or radio or whatever. It's just you take it with a smile and just take it as, I guess, in a strange way, flattery. And be flattered by it and think it's respect in a strange way.
Yeah, you just take it all with a grain of salt, and you kind of just, for the most part, I don't read it. We block a lot of words, so they won't come up. You can do that on YouTube, and so we have, obviously, swear words are all blocked. Mean things are blocked. So it just comes with the territory. It happens.
It is
whatever.
What it is. You can't stop it. It's always going to be there. But then again, it's the people are jealous.
They are, and I have.
Success.
It's a minimal amount of haters, and that I got my fair share of definitely some weirdos out there, but for the most part, they're amazing, and the Sunshiners are so cute, and they deal mostly now with all of the haters. They immediately get on their case about whatever it is. So I don't even have to do it anymore.
So you have a Sunshine Army that mobilizes when there's any disparaging words?
Yeah, they kind of take care of it. They're like,
An
armada. It sounds like a mob scene, like the mafia.
yeah.
How dare you say that about her?
Yeah.
I hope sacrifice does not become literal.
No, I sure hope not.
Yeah, right? We actually sacrifice people here.
Well, you have to once in a while.
Authenticity. I mean, you got to keep it real. I did have a question. I kind of brought it up earlier. As you have aged into a young woman, yes, I know you find that humorous. What age would you say you're playing now? So what age is Sunshine Girl now? I assume not the age that you are. So do you feel any pressure to play younger than you are? Does that enter your mind or bother you in any way?
No, it doesn't. I mean, yes, of course, it's always in the back of my mind. Like, am I way too old for this? But she's about 16, and in the TV show, she'll be 16, 17, still in high school, and obviously I'm not.
Come on. Look at the 90210 people, how old they were in that high school show. They're like 50.
40, so.
Yeah, they're like showing up at canes.
And I still get, like, people all the time are like, oh, what are you, like 15? So I look very young. I'm quite short. I just went through TSA not that long ago, and they're like, oh, you don't have to take your shoes off, and because you're under 12. And I was like, yeah, I'm
under 12.
Under 12?
Yeah.
Wow.
You take your shoes off at the airport. And I was like, yeah, I'm almost 21. And they were like, this is a couple of years ago. They were like, oh, take your shoes off right now. I was like, you're the one that said I didn't have to. Don't yell at me.
Yeah. Be nice to me. I'm Sunshine Girl.
Well, you certainly don't look that young. But there's nothing wrong with being youthful.
Yes, youthful, if you will.
I'm youthful. Though rarely do I get carded, but every once in a while. I say,
Dude.
Are you really telling me you're questioning whether I am over 21?
Yeah.
No, our policy is we card anyone under 50.
Dude, compared to her, we look like Moses. All right? We're not youthful.
I know.
Moses.
Methuselah.
Yeah.
Methuselah.
Yeah, I'm
All
just
right,
saying.
So we know the TV show is in the offing, and it sounds like that's going to be a really big deal. Is it going to be a season by season, or are you looking at it more like a mini series one-off kind of thing?
I definitely think it'll be a season by season thing. I mean, there's no real information I can give you other than that hopefully it'll be a fall debut.
This fall?
This fall.
Yeah,
wow, well, that's not far off at all.
Shooting for the Halloween season, I'm sure. And that would be generally what they've done in the past, the shows of this ilk, because they've debuted them near the Halloween season.
Yeah.
Yep, and so that'd be good. That's very, very time. Hey, they know what they're doing. So
besides the TV show, what do you see your immediate future holding? Are you going to do more books, or does this kind of wrap up that part of the process?
A fourth book has not been bought. That doesn't mean that it cannot ever happen. It's the end. Never mind. Done. I'm definitely focused on like all the cool stuff we're doing right now. Like book 3 just came out. Like that is so cool. I have 3 books out. That's ridiculous. I would never have said that. It's insane. Like what? It's so weird. So it's kind of nice to just focus on this because I don't want to be, like your guys' age and be like, I didn't do anything. I didn't appreciate any of this. So
yes, yeah,
your guys' age.
I know. I heard that jab.
I'm going to put that up on the wall.
I would.
Your guys' age.
I am. I'm going to put that up.
I like that, and I think you're absolutely right. Enjoy it, appreciate it, stop and smell the roses. Bask in the sunshine, so to speak. You are 100% correct.
Good. I thought so.
Yeah, enjoy it while it lasts. Yeah, I mean, because it will last for quite some time, and
it'll last forever.
Forever and ever and ever. You will be for sure now in print, and that lasts forever. And so very, very cool. And then of course it's the character is going to age and go through different challenges, and so never-ending storylines.
Exactly. I mean, hopefully she'll age. I don't know. I feel like some characters in TV shows do not age.
Yeah, we're just talking about that. The Walking Dead people do not age at all.
Yeah, what is that? Why?
I don't know. Like that Judith kid that they got. She should have been graduating by high school now. Come on.
Yeah, nope, not happening.
Nope, barely walking.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have time for that. They're zombies.
Well, this is true. But yes, a lot of TV shows that slow I think the calendar chronologically it slows way down the years.
Well, look at the Simpsons. Look at the Simpsons.
Oh, I know.
My God,
Ever and ever, and it's never going to end.
30 years and they haven't changed.
It's ridiculous. They're the same age. She's still a baby.
They are the
How
TV equivalent.
be?
They're the TV equivalent of a cockroach, Eric.
Yes.
The Simpsons. They will never die. Ever.
They will never die. They're the Twinkies.
Twinkies and cockroaches.
You're right. All right, now back.
Ever.
Since we're down to our final 10 minutes, which is hard to believe, you are quite charming and lots of personality, and we love having fun. But into the real world of the paranormal. So you said you do believe in ghosts. What are your thoughts? What's your personal sort of philosophy on how all that fits together? If there are ghosts, what are they? You know, where do they come from? Where are they going? What are your thoughts on how all that comes together? And are there any other of the, broadly speaking, paranormal type entities that you think are likely to exist? So in other words, anything from the cryptids, the Bigfoots, the lake monsters to aliens, any of that. Is any of that real for you? What are your thoughts? How does that all? What's your universe? Explain to us your philosophy and your world of the paranormal.
That was a loaded question. Holy cow!
Right?
You have 8 minutes to do so.
All right.
No pressure.
I'll talk fast. I definitely believe in ghosts and the paranormal and demons and the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and zombies will take over the earth. But I don't have a shelter ready. That's not what I'm saying. Whoa.
Not a prepper.
Yeah, I'm not a prepper. I'm not ready. I'm not a doomsdayer. What else do I believe? There are definitely some fairies on this world. I used to be obsessed. I still am. Obsessed with fairies. I was like, they so exist. I feel like mermaids are real, and unicorns. They live in the deepest part of the woods, and I will find one day. Leprechauns? Heck yeah.
Wow, pretty good. You just ran through the whole pantheon
She
there, didn't
really
you?
did. And see, Sunshine
What
Girl.
about aliens and Bigfoot?
Oh, yeah. I said Bigfoot, yes. Aliens? Yes. For sure, aliens. Are you kidding me? How many movies are there about aliens?
True. It's all preparing us for when they land at the White House.
And movies never lie, so...
Never.
Yeah.
Never, ever. Sunshine Girl needs an evil doppelganger, is what she needs for the next one.
A twin?
Yeah, exactly. And that way you can kind of, act out some evil stuff and not be all sweet and stuff. And
she'll swear.
Oh, yeah. Smoke cigarettes, drink Schlitz beer down by the dock.
Weed.
Something, yeah. No. That needs to
weed in Oregon.
Jeez.
Where it's
Listen to you. I was just thinking that she could just do some naughty things. You're talking about, down by the docks with Paco smoking a doobie.
Absolutely.
Well, the guy you'd be smoking a doobie with. Exactly. But no, it's, yes, doppelganger would be interesting to see because, it would be the yin to the yang.
So all of that's real, huh? All those things are real.
We'll call her, Moonshine.
That's right.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Look at that, guys. We're ready. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wow. All right. Well, you could use that on the new show, I'd say. I see that episode. Sunshine versus Moonshine.
Hey, guys, scrap everything. I have this great idea for a doppelganger.
Exactly, but she has to have a southern accent because they call her Moonshine.
She'll emerge out of you. It'll be so cool. It'll be like on Bewitched. Remember the evil twin, Samantha's evil twin on Bewitched? Maybe you haven't watched Bewitched.
Yeah, I'm sorry. On Bewitched? Really? Come on.
Oh, it's classic. My kids have watched Bewitched.
Yeah, but you're their dad, so.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, my children are all young, so.
Yeah, you got me there. But I like that. I'm liking that a lot. I see some development there available.
I'll franchise it now.
Well, exactly. No, as far as the paranormal stuff goes and believing in it, I say why not? I mean, until it's disproven, you might as well believe in it. A lot of people do. You know, in fact, in Iceland, they fear the fairy. They are known in Iceland to be not nice but malevolent. And if
I
you
love
mess
that word.
with them, they'll get you.
They will redirect highways around
and
believed to be fairy shelters.
And they'll
they
steal your
will
children.
actually change the course of a highway.
And they'll steal
That
your
is
children.
legit. You need to go to Iceland.
Yeah, and they'll steal your children and give you a lichen.
Ooh, yeah, like in that movie with Angelina Jolie where she had what is that called? A changeling?
Yes.
Very good.
Yep.
I'm ready, guys. You could quiz me. I'm so good.
Yep, and so that is the fear of fairies. Now, as far as Bigfoot goes,
he's real.
He very well. It does seem to be that there is some evidence that he is real, but yet there's no body yet. But so that's a whole nother story. But
You
sure,
are in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, go squatching. We can hook you up with some people.
Yeah, we had a squatching channel for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
it was so hilarious. We would like wander around the woods, and it was good.
Very
Good time.
cool. Very cool. See, now you could get into the paranormal a little more than you were letting on earlier. I think you could be a full-on investigator.
I could. Do they have licenses for that?
Well, sure. We actually know a lady that runs a school for it, don't we, Eric?
We do.
You could get.
She has granted us access.
Yes.
Is it an online school, or do I have to go to like Oklahoma?
No. It's online. It's online.
Oh, it's all online.
It's not in the bunker anymore. They put it online.
Welcome to the 21st century.
Exactly. It's distance learning now. So
It's the OOs.
You can learn online.
Good.
You know.
I have a question. I'm trying to picture your life. All right, so you're super busy, and I know you work like 80 hours a week. You've been doing it since you were 16 years old, right? Have you had a chance to travel at all and see the world for yourself?
I have actually. I mean, aside from the book tour I did, that was 30 days long and like 15 cities or something. Which was, yeah, so I've been all over the United States. Texas, New York, Connecticut, California, Washington.
Everywhere they have books.
Yes,
Barnes and Noble.
those things.
Yeah.
I also have been to England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and Germany.
Very nice. Well, you've done some traveling.
I have.
What were your impressions? What impressed you? What did you like or not like in your travels?
I loved Germany. I lived there for 2 months, and that was amazing. The Germans are like the sweetest, most adorable people. Like, they're so cute. France is really busy, and so is London. Specifically, London is, I hated it, but we were there right before the Olympics, so that could have been why.
Yeah.
And then Wales is probably my favorite place in the world, but Scotland and Ireland are followed closely by that.
Huh.
Very good. Did you do any work there, or was that just traveling?
No, it was just traveling. It was my reward to myself for graduating high school.
Very nice. Well, that's great. That's good. You've been around quite a bit then. You've seen the sights. You've seen the world.
I have, just not Iceland.
Well, go to Iceland.
You gotta go there.
You got to go there
I do.
now. The ferries
I wanna
up there and
go.
all. You know, you can
They have ferries and you have sunshine.
Exactly. We can bring them together.
You could bring
Have
them
a
together, and
ritual.
yes, it would be really an experience.
It would.
All right, Paige, we need to let the world, our elderly listeners who are unfamiliar with you, how can they get a hold of you and to bask in your sunshine?
In all my glory. Yeah.
Exactly.
So they can check me out on pretty much every social media platform. I'm on practically everything, including Snapchat. Yeah. Who needs one of those? But I have one. Obviously, the YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Those are my big ones. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are the big ones. But I mean, I have a Tumblr and a Pinterest and
Wow.
And
all of it.
All of it. All of it. But very cool.
Kidding.
And of course, people can buy the books, of course, at
Yeah.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, really anywhere books are sold. And then, of course,
Yes.
they could still check you out at the YouTube channel and
Yes.
check out all those videos. They're all available. We got to get out of here, Eric. It's the end of another episode. Went by way, way too fast. So I'd like to thank, again, Paige McKenzie for coming on the show and talking to us about her latest book. And, of course, check that all out at Sunshine Girl. Check out all the books. There's 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, and they're all awesome. And, of course, a forthcoming television show sounds like it's in the works. So on behalf of myself, Joel Sturgis, and, of course, Mr. Eric Olsen, we thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM. And take care of each other, love each other, and read these great books. Thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM. And please remember to like us on Facebook and also follow us over on Twitter.